How's everything with you? Absolute pleasure.
Hey Niall, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. Things are great. I things no complaints really. Like after the performance last weekend, I feel fantastic. Do you know what I mean? I'm just ready to go again.
Brilliant. We'll kick it off there. What was the assessment of the performance? Obviously, a big name, a guy who was in the UFC, and a really sort of a big statement from you to go out and make and perform the way you did. What was your assessment of the performance now that the dust has settled a little bit? Very, very happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy. But yet again, like where every fight is going to say this, oh, there's always going to be room for improvements, which there is. We sat down, we analyzed the video, we analyzed the fight, we seen what we can improve on, what we were doing really well. And a lot of people kind of like slept on my striking, but that was the main thing that I wanted to focus on for this camp, and I wanted to show everyone what I've been working on for the last 5.5, 6 months leading up to it. But other than that, very happy with the performance, very, very happy, and look, I made a statement.
Definitely, I agree with that. I think, I even watched back some of your amateur fights this morning. Most noticeably, we'll talk about Ian Garry in a few moments. He obviously beat Ian by split decision at amateur level. But even back then, man, I think because you're obviously a judoka, that's what you're known as. You're a black belt in judoka, or judo, should I say. Do people sleep on your striking, do you feel? Because it looked very, very even tidy back then.
You see, a lot of people kind of focus on my takedowns, and like my wrestling is quite a good wrestling, with the clinch and everything. But I just really wanted to focus on my striking because I was always like kind of throwing looping shots and all that. I was just really throwing for power, just to let me land that haymaker. But I started getting a bit more tidier and then worked a lot more. And I can implement it now with my wrestling and my judo, and it's paying off, as you can see from my last fight as well. And each fight as I'm going now, it's there's a big difference in my game.
Do you feel that comfortable with your judo that you can just solely sort of focus on the striking and the Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Are you at that sort of level? I know you're a black belt, but is it like almost second nature to you now with your judoka skills that you obviously give less time to that in the gym?
Oh, 100%. Like I can focus on other things now like that. The judo, I know if we clinch, if we take on defense or whatever, I know I can land you on your head. So I'm so comfortable on the clinch and in the grappling department. So, but yet again, there's always room for improvement. I love challenging myself. I love working on the mistakes that I've been doing before, and yeah, we're tidying everything to a T, and I'm in a great team right now. So yeah, everything's falling into place.
Do you think with that win over Ackman, that puts an asterisk beside your name now, in terms of the regional scene in Europe, like the UFC, you're taking notice, I believe, as well. I believe your manager was possibly talking with Sean Shelby from the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. It really puts a spotlight on your name now, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, we kind of said that we're outgrowing the regional
Yeah.
scene, so we had to kind of make a statement in the European scene, and especially on the UFC Fight Pass as well. So look, I've done it, and there's only going to be better and better performances coming in each fight as we progress, and whatever's next, I'm ready. Like I said, we're already matched now for the 11th of June on Superior Challenge. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Raimundo's pulled out from the fight, but we're working.
Okay.
Paul is working for another matchup, and it's pretty much 80% confirmed. And it's another UFC vet, so it's looking
Okay.
good.
When did you learn that news that Raimundus had pulled out of the fight?
Uh, couple, I'll say about a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Apparently, he's still not fully recovered from. You see, the main reason he pulled out the first time, I think it was a broken rib. So I don't know if he's fully recovered or what happened. I hope he recovers well, or maybe you know what I mean. We're working on the matchup anyway, but if he's fully recovered by 11th of June, he'll be there. So yeah,
But
whoever in front of me, I don't really care.
as you said, Paul's working on another UFC vet. Almost, is that maybe a blessing in disguise after Paul was chatting with Sean Shelby that possibly you might be fast tracked to the big show with a big statement and a big win in June?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. I really don't mind. I really don't care. Whatever gets me to the top, that's all I care. And if it's another fight outside of the UFC, no problem. Another two, another three fights, whatever. But whenever the call is there, we're taking it and we're ready.
How much have you developed since you obviously were sharing MMA in Galway, and then you went down obviously across to Dublin to obviously own Roddy, the legend that is in Irish MMA, and you're working with in SBG Charlestown now. In terms of developments, in terms of your MMA skill set, how much has Owen done for you? How much has his experience sort of guided you through this process?
Leaps and bounds. Like I had great coaching with Ben back in Shaolin Galway, but I just didn't have the bodies. I didn't have the bodies to kind of like push me forward and drive me more and all that. And I had to. That's why I had to make the decision. But yet again, I was literally driving before I moved up to Dublin. I was driving from Galway because you see, I'm still working a full-time job.
Right.
So while I was in Galway, I was driving three days a week, up to Dublin and back, just to get to training. And so I was up there 4 days a week just to train. I was staying in one of my mates' house, but we were like, look, this is not working. Like, I have no rest days whatsoever. I'm constantly on the road. I was away from everyone. I had no life really. So I was like, you know what? Let's move up to Dublin and train full time. So now I'm training 7 days a week, every day. Just with the bodies I'm training in there, the experience I'm gaining from everyone. Like, I'm working alongside like Sinead Kavanagh helped me a little bit as well. Everything's falling into place. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's all good.
The one thing I get from you, and just before we came on there with the interview, is, you love this sport. Like, you actually, you're actually in love with the sport, I feel, and that is just a recipe for the skill set that you have and the talk and the hype about you, and the fact you gravitate so much towards the sport. You're a dangerous man. Just talk to me. Why do you love this sport so much? Because it's a crazy fucking sport. We all know how mental this game is.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it is a crazy sport, and it's not many people not many people step inside cage and fight. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that play football and whatever, and that's what I grew up playing. I was playing football and everything. I think I've done every sport out there, but in here, it's just like it just brings a smile to my face going in there and just perform to the world and what I can do. Like, you know what I mean? The main reason I love this sport is because I was always kind of like, growing up as a kid, I was always bullied, so I was scared to stand up for myself. But now going in there and be like, look what I can do now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I just love this sport. It's kind of like, it took the long route to get to where I am now, but I am here now, and then just one step closer. Do you know what I mean?
Talk to me about your background, and obviously growing up. I listened to the great interview the lads did with you on Severe MMA. It was absolutely fantastic, and you mentioned that a little bit about the bullying when you came over to Ireland. Can you tell the guys a little bit about your background and how you ended up coming to Ireland?
So originally I'm Romanian, but I carried the Romanian and Irish flag with pride, because I was over. How was I? I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 years of age when I came over to Ireland. My parents came here back in 1999 or 2000, and I remember they ran from Romania just so they can build me a better future. And many people don't know, but I didn't see my parents for 5 years. I ended up living with my grandparents back home. They were trying to bring me over, but you see, Romania weren't in the EU, so they couldn't bring me over. And eventually I ended up coming over then, and I went to school here then. I went to college, I graduated, I've done everything.
Incredible.
I just, because you're a foreigner, you'll always be considered foreigner regardless how long you live in the country. Do you know what I mean? But I ended up competing for the Irish team then for judo. I played every single sport, and then obviously in secondary school, look, bullies are inevitable. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're always going to get bullied.
Was it bullying, or was there elements of racism possibly as well?
Yeah, it was a mixture of both, really. Like, a mixture of both. Like, you're always going to get called bad names and all that, where you're from and everything. But we just moved past it. Like, it was tough at the start, but we kind of grew past it, and I grew a thicker shell, should I say. And my dad just told me, look, we need to fucking do martial arts, or any type of martial arts. So that's when I went into judo. And yeah, I've done judo for Jesus about 14, 15 years, and then I got my black belt, my second degree black belt. Then in that space of time, I transitioned then into boxing and kickboxing, and then I found MMA, and then I wanted to mix everything together. But it was tough growing up, like especially because you're from a different country. I didn't really speak the language. I started over
Wow.
here when I was like 7 or 8, so like I only knew the basics like door, table, window, stuff like that. Like
Mm.
that you barely used if that makes sense. But
Full credit
look,
to you. Full credit to you.
do you know what I mean? Like it was tough at the start, but look, I'd say I'm a Galwegian now, as I say. I lived in Galway my whole life, and we moved over now to Navan because it's a bit cheaper rent. I'd rather drive 15, 20 minutes up into Dublin than
Yeah,
because
it's
the rents
crazy.
are
It's
expensive.
absolutely mental. The government need to get their arse in gear and do something about the rent prices in this city, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
absolutely incredible the amount of piss taking that's going on in Dáil Éireann at the
yeah,
moment. It's mental. But has it made
yeah.
you a stronger person? All those sort of trials and tribulations. It sounds like you've really come out in the better side of that. It's made you a better person, and obviously, in preparation for fighting, you get hard skin. Sometimes you sort of need that.
Yeah, 100%. It made me the person I am today. And if it wasn't for my mom and dad that kind of like kept on pushing me to even go training and do this and do that, sometimes I come home with black eyes every single
Wow.
day because I was always getting jumped by five, six, seven people. Do you know what I mean? But I I went past that and I proved to everyone that look, you can do it regardless because I was always that overgrown, overweight kid. Do you know what I mean? So I never really stood up for myself. And once I started doing all these martial arts and everything, people kind of started respecting me a little bit more because that's what you needed to do. Like you had to stand up for yourself and just fight, really. And yeah, it just made me like I'll say I kind of looked back on my past and all that when I fought Janderson because I really really had to dig deep for that fight
Mm.
after eating some heavy shots, and I was like, do you know what? I've been through worse than this. Let's pick up the gear and just let's drive forward. And that's exactly what I did. That was the only thing that was going through my head.
Wow, amazing. And I want to sort of push it back, obviously, but we mentioned his name a little bit earlier on. Ian Garry, you defeated Ian, I think it was split decision a number of years ago
Yeah.
in the amateur ranks. Talk about that. A little birdie has told me that there might have been some words exchanged in the last number of weeks between yourself and Ian. Is there a little bit of ill will there, or what's the situation with yourself and Ian? Because I think you were quite pally maybe after that fight. You became friends. Has that sort of taken a downward spiral?
Yeah, look, we were amateur days we were both learning and we were both kind of trying to find a rhythm and find our way to the top, especially for the pro ranks. And yeah, we fought in MMA, we fought in K1, we fought a couple of times. So we, like we had no bad vibe or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like we were always kind of like friends even before fights and all that. Like we were having a chat, everything was grand. We were having a laugh. But yeah, it's the few little interviews I heard my name. Like there was some part that he was just saying that he'll fly over to Ireland and he'll kick my teeth in if I would say his name again and all that. If it was to kick my teeth in, he should have done it the first time when I bet him on a split decision. First things first. Second of all, do you know what I mean? Like I think the ego is just getting to his head at this stage, especially getting to the UFC. Look, I respect him as a fighter because he got to such a high level, and I hope he does well for Ireland. But just don't forget where he came from. And second of all was like I respect him as a fighter, but not as a person anymore. Like he's just not the same person as he used to be back in the days. Like he has too many yes men around him. That's what I think. That's kind of like affecting his mentality. But yeah, look, yeah, I bet him in a split decision, and that was back in 2018. That was the last time I lost sorry, that was the last
He
time
went
I
to
went to a
decision.
decision. That was the last time we went to a decision. I went to a decision. If you look at my record now, I won every single one of my fights by a finish. You look at him; he's been going on a decision for the last few fights. So yeah, he just needs to kind of like take it down a little notch and just kind of don't forget where he came from. In other words, like you know.
Have you been impressed with his UFC tenure so far? Because obviously the first fight was quite impressive. The finish, obviously, the first second against Jordan Williams. But I was a little bit critical of his performance, his second performance just a couple of weeks ago there. What was your perception of that performance from Ian a couple of weeks ago?
First fight, man, fair play to him. It was an absolute beautiful right counter. It was a beautiful performance. And then second fight, it was just too very sloppy. Like it didn't really impress me. Like it was just 1-2s and the jabs, double jabs. His wrestling defense. You go against a good wrestler, you're gonna get smashed, and it's that simple. But yeah, it's just not really impressed me. Like it's just even noticing the fact that he didn't even represent like the Irish shorts. Do you know what I mean? Like even white and green, or even green and white. Do you know what I mean? And he chose to go neutral ones. That was like, I was like, okay, I'd do you know what I mean? It's fair enough he had the Irish flag, but I'd be honoured to represent Ireland. Do you know what I mean? I've been doing it for so many years. I've been representing Ireland and Romania. I always had the two flags with me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a bit of a sticky situation, should I say?
It sure is. Do you ever envisage that maybe happening in the future when you get that UFC call? Because I know you're pretty confident that it's coming in your next 2 or 3 fights that you are going to get signed with the UFC.
Yeah.
Do you ever envisage maybe the UFC, throwing you and Ian possibly in there again? Because I can only sort of see this beef accelerating if you do get into the UFC.
Oh, 100%. 100%. We are going to meet. We are going to meet, regardless of what fight it is. But I think it's going to be more likely. It's going to be whenever UFC's going back to Dublin or back to Ireland sometime. Wow. And me and him are definitely going to be on that card. 100%. I can visualize it already, and he's just going to get found out again by Andreeas Binder, and it'll be 2-1 again.
A huge statement you're looking to make, obviously, in June. Do you feel as though, and obviously, as we mentioned, that your manager was speaking with Sean Shelby, has there been maybe assurances if you go out there and put on an amazing performance that, that contract is just one signature away?
He tries to kind of hide all this from me, like, so it doesn't affect my training and everything. I get too excited and stuff. But I know if I put another statement, I'm going to get another finish. That's 6 finishes. You know what I mean? Three beautiful knockouts, 1 submission, 1 TKO finish, and they're all in the first and second round. So, look, I'm just going to, whoever they put in front of me on the 11th of June, if it's going to happen then, I'm just going to have another finish. And I'm going knocking on the door. Do you know what I mean? 6 fights. Do you know what I mean? 6-5 win streak, 6 finishes. It's bound to happen.
Do you worry that
time? I'm ready.
Do you worry that that's a problem, that maybe guys see your name and they don't want to put a signature to the contract to fight in June? Has it been a problem getting you fights?
It was tough. It was tough on the regional scene to try and get the matchup, because there was loads of the lads were signed to either Cage Wars, they were signed to bigger promotions, Bellator, etc., etc. So it was very hard to try and get a matchup. It was either going to get someone with 30-odd fights or someone as a debut. Do you know what I mean? You'll never find someone that has at least 5 to 10 fights. And that's when I got Janderson. He had 11 or 12 fights under his belt. So I was like, okay, that's a good challenge for us, because I was only 4 fights in, or was it? No, yeah, 5 fights in, and then next fight, then again when I got Rostem, it was 6-3, like, and then he had over 17 fights as an amateur. But the thing was, we were trying, before we went to the European scene, we were trying to get the Cage Legacy belt so we can have all the belts and pros as well, because I have the Cage Conflict and the Clan Wars welterweight titles, and we were like, right, let's try and get the Cage Legacy belt and try and have all the belts in Ireland, because I'd done that at amateur and I'd done that, do you know what I mean? I had 7 belts at amateur and then two at pro, so I was like, right, let's try and get that magic number 10.
Well, it's coming to you soon anyway.
Yeah, look, we were looking to get on the Cage 5 series for 24th of June, but I don't think that's going to happen in June, only September. But I'm not waiting around. And I challenged for that belt already. Like, they have, I think the champion is 11-5 or something like that. So I was like, or I think he's the champion, or I don't even know. Look, whoever they put in front of me.
Well, hopefully you get matched in Superior Challenge anyway. You know, everyone has their eyes on that. We've seen loads of guys come from that promotion. And listen, I'm massively looking forward to it, Andreas. It's been fascinating to speak to. And I think we just have to mention one more thing. You were in the gym, I believe, when your buddy Ian Coughlin got injured. Just a word for Ian and how he's doing. Have you been speaking to him a lot? And that was obviously, you know, a terrible experience and a terrible freak accident for Irish MMA.
Yeah, it was scary. I think we were 2 weeks out or a week and a half out to our cage conflict fights, and he was getting ready to fight as well in the UK. And he had one last spar. I was on my break at that stage because there was only 5 of us in that little bubble that we were training with since our
during the pandemic.
Our gym burnt down. Yeah. But like our gym burnt down, so we couldn't really train anywhere. So we invested in mats and everything, and we were working in the shed, and everything was just like, you know, there was 5 of us. It was going good, and he slipped, or I can't really remember what happened, and he just landed on his neck, and I was like, oh no, what's happening now? You see, at the start, I thought it was his knee. I thought he dislocated his knee from wrestling. That was my first thought, and then he started saying, "Oh, my neck." I was, "Oh man, you probably just sprained it or something," because it happened to my my fight against Dermot when it was a no contest. I got like a blow at the I got it like a shot at the back of my head, and I started getting pins and needles down my arm, and my vision started going a little bit, and I got scared. So I was like, "It's probably just that, man. He probably just pinched a nerve or hit a nerve or something." And then I seen him getting serious. He was like, "Look, man, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my arms." I was like, "Okay, this is getting serious." So we called the ambulance straight away. They were down there, and it's just, you know what I mean? It just didn't look good for him. And obviously we were so scared and worried for him. Like we were like, "Oh no, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen?"
Does that give you doubts? Does that give you doubts mentally when you see something like that happen? Such a freak accident as well. Does it mentally challenge you to a point?
It was very tough at the start. Of course, like we were fighting on cage conflict the following week. So like I remember we didn't even train for a couple of days because we were like,
wow,
that could be us. Like, do you know what I mean? The one thing that was going through my head, I was like, he's such a vast experience. Like he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, judo black belt. He fought at very high level on Bellator. He fought everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? You wouldn't expect it to come in like that. This to happen to him. Do you know what I mean? Like you'd expect it from someone like a novice that doesn't know how to go for a takedown or stuff like that. But just a freak accident like that, in blink of an eye, man, it could happen to anyone. Obviously, it was scary, but he's doing better now. He's kind of getting a bit of movement again. I'm glad to see him kind of like recovering a little bit, but it's just tough to see on anyone. I don't wish him my worst enemy. Like, do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%. Best wishes to Ian anyway. You know, I think the Irish MMA community he's got behind him, and obviously stay posted on the socials, guys, if you're watching this. And listen, Andreas, I really appreciate it. I'm massively looking forward to seeing what's next for you, and you know, the UFC isn't too far away by all accounts. And best of luck in June, and I really appreciate it, man, for stopping by.
Thank you so much, Niall, for having me on. And yeah, guys, stay tuned. There'll be loads of news coming in for fights, etc. And enjoy whatever you're doing, whether it's MMA or football or whatever. Keep doing what you're doing. Looking forward to it, man. I appreciate it.
If you want to see more videos like this, do hit the subscribe button and also the notification button so you don't miss any future updates. You can also catch us on social media and also give the video a thumbs up. It does help. Thanks, guys.